Was homosexuality really accepted during the Ottoman Empire? Well, the mindless and harmful naturalization of cisgender identity and heterosexuality may be best combated by history. It becomes much simpler to envision a liberated pluralist future when one realizes that for most of history, people simply did not think of human sexuality in fixed and dimorphic terms. During the Ottoman Empire, homosexuality was fairly tolerated and even accepted. In fact, an infamous story from the Ottomans' great empire is proof that love knows no gender before modern restrictions. In the story, Taib and Tahir, two young Ottomans, were captured by Christians, but instead of inflicting pain and submitting them to torture, their captors showered them with good things and kept them happy. Because of this, Taib and Tahir fell in love with their captors and proved that their love can overcome any challenges that come their way. However, this didn't last long. As time passed, influences from the outside started pumping unsolicited ideas into the empire. As a result, the people of the empire found themselves rethinking their ways, most importantly, their views about sexuality, and whether the relationship between people of the same gender was truly okay. Are you ready to unfold the truth? Welcome to Crazy Histories, where we bring you the craziest and weirdest facts from human history. Some of the things discussed in this video may be offensive or disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised. The Ottoman Empire. During the 14th and early 20th centuries, the Ottoman Empire controlled a lot of parts of Southeast Europe, Western Asia, and Northern Asia. It was actually the pre-modern Turkish Empire that explains why leadership is bestowed on a sultan. Under Sultan Süleyman I, his son Selim II, and his grandson Murad III, who all ruled from Istanbul's Topkapi Palace, the empire's culture, politics, and economy achieved its pinnacle. Such progress was possible because of the extensive legal reforms made by Süleyman I that helped to build Ottoman law for many generations. Süleyman also acquired the moniker the Magnificent in the West, where he was revered and feared for his political and cultural accomplishments, as well as his standing as a rich and strong ruler. Despite the nature of the empire, the Ottomans didn't identify sexualities. At most, they would distinguish between passive and active partners. On top, they differentiated by the lover and the beloved. During this time, people would choose their partners not out of sexual preference, but because everyone is basically allowed to be with anyone. There's a catch. The only marriage accepted as legit is between a man and a woman. So in a sense, there was still discrimination. It wasn't very evident at first, but as days and years passed, it slowly crept into everyone's daily lives. And then, the problem for males who love another male began. Homosexuality during the Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman Empire was well known for its tolerance of anything related to homosexuality. It was not as accepting to the point that such a relationship was legal, however, the empire did not mind its existence. In fact, people believed that homosexual relationships were normal and didn't really make a big deal of them. This was particularly true for the Ottoman elites. During the 18th century, the Ottoman Empire's atmosphere was filled with excitement and joy, but the practice of living as a homosexual was kept secret in society. However, this did not stop the elite from seeking pleasure, and homosexuality was regularly practiced. Usually, it's an elderly man who frequently engages in same-sex relationships, using a system that guarantees confidentiality, since there's almost always a young boy on the other end of the relationship. The young person, typically classified as unmasculine and engulfed in femininity, assumed the position of the beloved. Such activities were so widespread that the elites of the Ottoman culture built a system that allowed them to raise armies and support homosexuality. Many yamaks, or volunteers, joined this system because they desired the benefits of belonging to it. They were very keen to get exempted from taxes. Yenicheri, or soldiers, also loved this system since they were allowed to enjoy the company of these yamaks while they were being trained and educated. Such a system was under Sultan's control. This includes the duty of governing the children's daily living and educational circumstances, and the yamak is said to have been housed in separate gender-based dwellings. They never leave the palace until the signor thinks they are fit for office. Benedetto Ramberti, a Venetian envoy, described the system inside these houses in detail, explaining that There are about 500 youths aged from 8 to 20 years who reside in the palace and are the delight of Signor, and they never leave the aforesaid palace until they have reached the age when the Signor thinks them fit for office. Each 10 of them is guarded by a eunuch called Kapu Oglan, and each has a slave's frock, in which he sleeps rolled up in such a manner that he does not touch another who may be near him. However, all good things come to an end at some point. While I mentioned how there was little to no discrimination during the Ottoman Empire, the situation changed over time. Everything was triggered when amendments to the Penal Code were made in 1858. Specifically, the said article states that the person who dares to commit the abominable act publicly contrary to modesty and sense of shame is to be imprisoned for from 3 months to 1 year, and a fine of from 1 Mejidi gold piece to 10 Mejidi gold pieces is to be levied. Records also revealed that during the latter part of the 20th century, the authorities started encouraging attacks against homosexuals in Istanbul. Most include beatings, hair cropping, and, at worst, rape. This left questions that had been begging to be answered. A lot were shocked at the sudden change of trajectory and why there was a huge influx of hate and negativity towards homosexuals when ill feelings like such didn't exist before. The most basic explanation is the Quran and how it views homosexuality. However, there was not enough proof to blame the shift on the Quran alone. This is the reason why Western influence and its ideas involving modernity entered the picture. If we take this into consideration, there's a big possibility that such teaching has greatly influenced how people view homosexual relationships. Worse, it encouraged a reversal of attitude towards it. Historians believed that it was the Western conceptualization of sexuality that completely tilted the balance. Remember, during the pre-modern period, there was no such thing as a specific gender identity. People in the Ottoman Empire picked their partners based on beauty, feelings, and desire. However, everything changed when influences from other countries bled through the empire. Taib and Tahir. I have briefly mentioned Taib and Tahir at the beginning, but brief is not enough to tell their entire story. To start, they were traveling to Egypt to become dervishes. However, they were caught by Christian noblemen along the way. While most expected that such captors would inflict pain and suffering on the 2 Ottoman males they found, they actually did the exact opposite. Soon enough, the captive and the captors fell in love. However, unlike any love story, theirs didn't have a happy ending. Once the authorities could hear about it, they deemed it out of the norm, which means it was barbaric to Christian norms. While they view their love as precious, the Christian society thinks of it as nothing but sodomy and actively imprisons anyone who would be engaged in such. Taib and Tahir suffered the same fate. They and their 2 captors were put behind bars. However, the 2 Ottomans were given a pardon. Their freedom didn't spark any interest since their 2 Christian lovers remained imprisoned. Unknowingly, they escaped and managed to reunite with them. They even went to the extreme and converted to Islam in order to satisfy their desire and be with the love of their lives without any restriction from their religion. By the late 19th century, homosexual intercourse had begun to decrease, and young females had become the object of desire. This was the time when homosexuality in the Ottoman Empire started a rapid decline. The love and affinity that were once notoriously and customarily directed toward young men in Istanbul have now been redirected toward girls. In accordance with the state of nature, Ahmet Cevdet Pasha explained the reason behind the shift, saying, "Woman lovers have increased in number, while boy beloveds have decreased. It is as if the people of Lot have been swallowed by the earth." Sadly, there's not much record of what happened after. However, through stories like this and a few recorded events, it's safe to say that there was once a time in the Ottoman Empire when nothing came between love and gender. What do you guys think about the Ottoman Empire and its view on homosexuality? Let us know in the comments below. Also, if you like this type of video, be sure to subscribe and click to get notifications for more crazy history.